It all began on an evening soaked in rain. I was darting across the slick street, clutching my books, trying to keep my footing. The wind was relentless, whipping my coat open. As I finally reached the door of our modest apartment, I noticed it was dark inside. This was unusual. My sister, Raina, was always home before me. She cherished a clean, warm, and brightly lit home. I stepped in, and the silence was heavy. Then I saw her in the kitchen, standing perfectly still. Her eyes were puffy and red. I asked gently, "Raina, are you all right?" She forced a smile and replied, "Yes, just tired." But I knew something was deeply wrong. In that moment, I felt the first tiny fracture in my heart. I had no idea that soon our entire world would shatter. My name is Dana. I'm 20 years old, a university student living in a bustling city. My sister, Raina, is the one who raised me. Our parents were killed in a car accident when I was just 10. From that day forward, she became my everything. My mother, my confidant, my entire family. She worked tirelessly, finished her education, secured a good job, and provided a home for me. I love her with every fiber of my being. I trust her completely. Raina is a brilliant woman. She's a history professor at the same university I attend. In the lecture hall, her voice is commanding and confident, but with me, it's always soft and caring. She makes sure I eat well, get enough sleep, and keep up with my studies. To the world, she is Professor Raina. To me, she is my entire universe. 2 years ago, she married Mark. He's also a professor teaching psychology. He is universally liked. He has a constant smile and a slow, calm way of speaking. He never raises his voice, never seems to lose his temper. Many students praise his kindness. I believed it too. At first, Mark and Raina's romance was a whirlwind. They met at work, fell in love quickly, and had a beautiful wedding. Raina was radiant with happiness, and her joy was my joy. But then, one day, a subtle shift occurred. I noticed the way Mark looked at me. His gaze would linger a moment too long. His smile seemed to hold a different meaning. I tried to dismiss it, thinking I was imagining things, but the look returned again and again. Whenever he was around, a knot of tension would form in my stomach. I made excuses to avoid being alone with him. I kept telling myself, "Dana, it's nothing. He's just being friendly." But my body knew better. My heart would hammer in my chest whenever he drew near. One afternoon, I was in my room, surrounded by textbooks. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Mark. It read, "You looked so beautiful today." My hands went cold. I reread the words. A second message appeared. "I can't stop thinking about you." A tightness seized my chest. I stared at the screen, paralyzed. I didn't respond. It had to be a mistake. Surely he meant to send it to Raina. But then more messages flooded in. "Let's have dinner, just the two of us. I know you feel this connection too." I wanted to scream. I wanted to break down and cry. I shut off my phone and sat there, trembling in the silence. The next day, he was waiting for me outside my classroom. As I walked out, he stepped into my path. "You're special, Dana," he said. His voice was a soft whisper, but his eyes sent a chill down my spine. I hurried past him without a word. I told myself to just ignore him, to stay away. But his efforts only intensified. He started sending flowers to the apartment. He left notes under my car's windshield wiper. He would appear across the campus green, just watching me. "You're so young, so full of life," he said once, cornering me near the library and standing far too close. "I don't just want a fleeting moment. I want a lifetime with you." I felt nauseous. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I fled to the nearest restroom and sobbed, not just from fear, but from the crushing weight of this secret. I loved my sister more than anyone. Raina had sacrificed everything for me. I could not be the person who destroyed her world. For weeks, I buried the secret deep inside. I put on a brave face for Raina. I helped her with dinner. I pretended to study, but my heart felt like a block of lead. I was a bird trapped in a cage of his making. Every day was spent looking over my shoulder. I avoided Mark at all costs. I stayed late at the library. I made excuses to skip family dinners. I was trying to protect Raina from this ugliness. I hoped, I prayed, that he would eventually give up. But I was wrong. One night I was reading in my room. The apartment was quiet. Raina had gone to visit a friend for the evening. A knock echoed from the front door. Thinking it was her, I opened it without hesitation and froze. It was Mark. He stood there with that unnerving smile, his eyes raking over me. "I came to see you," he said. "To love you." I stumbled backward. "Why are you here?" I managed to ask, my voice shaking. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "Because I can't stay away," he said, his voice low. "You're the one I truly want," I said, my voice rising. "Please leave." He took another step, reaching for my hand. I finally found my voice and screamed, "Get out!" He froze, his expression hardened. All right, he said, raising his hands. "I'm leaving." He walked out, and I slammed the door shut, locking it immediately. I collapsed to the floor, my heart pounding against my ribs as I cried. The world felt like it was collapsing around me. I knew then that I couldn't carry this burden alone any longer. I had to tell Raina. The next morning, I dressed with purpose and walked to her house. She greeted me with a warm smile. "Dana, I was just about to call you," she said. "I have wonderful news." She sat me down, her face glowing with excitement. "Mark and I are trying for a baby," she said. "We've started IVF. I hope I can be a mom soon." The words died in my throat. My mouth was dry. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to scream, "He is not the man you think he is." But I couldn't. Not after hearing that. She was so happy, so filled with hope. I couldn't be the one to extinguish that light. So I remained silent. I managed a weak smile. "That's wonderful," I said, but inside I was breaking into a million pieces. Back at my apartment, I cried in my bed. I skipped dinner. I couldn't focus on my books. I just stared at the ceiling, asking the universe, why me? The following days were a living nightmare. Mark sent more messages. "Don't you dare ignore me," he wrote. "You belong to me." I blocked his number, but the fear lingered like a shadow. I started to feel small, powerless, and utterly lost. One afternoon, as I was walking across campus, I saw him again. He was standing under a tree, his gaze fixed on me. A cold dread washed over me. I turned and ran back into the main building, hiding in a restroom. As I sat on the cold tile floor, crying, I told myself, "You cannot live like this. You have to speak up." That night, I made my decision. I would tell my sister, no matter the consequences. I had to. Even if she would hate me, even if she refused to believe me, I had to try. Before I tell you what happened next, I just need to ask, where in the world are you listening from? Knowing that someone out there hears my story, that they might understand, it gives me the strength to continue. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. My stomach was in knots from anxiety. I hadn't slept at all. I splashed cold water on my face and stared at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. I felt a weariness that went bone deep. Taking a deep breath, I steadied myself. "Today is the day," I whispered. I walked to Raina's house, each step feeling heavier than the last. My heart raced. I had no idea what was about to unfold, but I knew this was necessary. When I reached her door, I hesitated for a moment, then knocked. She opened it with her usual warm smile. "Dana," she said, "come in, I've just made some tea." I stepped inside, my hands icy. We sat on the living room couch. As she poured the tea, she said, "You look exhausted. Is everything okay?" I looked down at the steaming cup, unable to hold the words back any longer. I met her eyes and said, "Raina, I need to tell you something. Please just listen to me. Don't say anything until I'm finished." Her smile faltered, replaced by a look of concern. "What is it?" she asked. My hands trembled, so I set the cup down. "Mark came to our apartment when you were out. He said he loves me. He tried to touch me. He's been sending me messages for weeks. He's been following me at the university. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't keep it inside anymore." For a long moment, the room was utterly silent. Raina just blinked, her face a blank mask. Then she let out a short, strange laugh. "What are you talking about?" she asked. "Are you being serious?" I nodded, my eyes pleading with her. "I'm not lying, Raina. He did all of it." Her expression shifted into something I never expected, pure anger. "Stop it," she said, her voice sharp. "Why are you doing this? Are you jealous? Are you trying to destroy my marriage?" Each word was a dagger in my heart. "No," I whispered. "I love you. I would never hurt you. He's the one who's lying, not me." But she shot up from the couch, her face flushed with rage. "You are not my sister," she screamed. "You are a liar." I stood up too, my mouth agape, but no sound came out. And then she slapped me. The burn on my face was nothing compared to the agony in my soul. I touched my cheek, tears finally streaming down my face. She marched to the door and flung it open. "Get out of my house," she commanded, "and never come back." I was frozen for a second. "Raina, please," I begged, but she had already turned her back on me. I walked out in a daze, and the sound of the door slamming shut felt like the end of my world. I went back to the apartment and collapsed on my bed, crying until there were no tears left. I felt completely and utterly alone. The next day, my phone rang. It was my friend Nina. I answered, and her voice was cold. "Dana, what did you do?" she asked. "Raina is a wreck. Mark told everyone that you tried to seduce him. He said you were obsessed with him." My voice trembled as I replied, "That's a lie. He was the one pursuing me. He sent the messages. I didn't want any of it. I stayed quiet because I was terrified." But Nina wasn't listening. "I don't know who to believe," she said, and then she hung up. Now I truly had no one. My sister hated me. My best friend doubted me. And Mark walked free, the picture of an innocent victim. I hid in my room for days. I skipped my classes. I didn't answer my phone. I barely ate. At night, I would stare at the ceiling and cry silently into my pillow, asking myself over and over, did I do something wrong? But deep down, I knew I had told the truth. I had done nothing wrong. I was the one who had been wronged. One night, I sat bolt upright in bed, moonlight streaming through the window. Something shifted inside me. I wiped my tears away and said to the empty room, "No more silence. I have the messages. I have proof. I will make them see the truth." The next morning, I woke with a renewed purpose. I went to my desk drawer and pulled out my old phone. I opened the messaging app, and there they were, all of Mark's vile words. "You belong to me. You are so beautiful. Let's meet, just us." I saved every single one. I went to the university library and printed them out. I also took photographs of the notes and flowers he had sent. I compiled everything into a single folder. My hands shook the entire time, but I did not stop. That afternoon, I walked into the university's administrative office. A kind woman at the front desk asked, "How can I help you?" I replied, my voice steady. "I need to speak with someone about Professor Mark. It is a very serious matter." They led me to a small, private room where I met with two senior staff members. I handed them the folder. "Please read this," I said. "He is not who everyone thinks he is." They opened the folder and read in complete silence. After what felt like an eternity, one of them looked up at me. "This is extremely serious," she said. "Thank you for your courage in coming forward. We will launch a full investigation." I went home and waited. 2 days crawled by. Then I received a call asking me to come back to the office. I walked in, my nerves frayed. They both looked at me with soft, empathetic smiles. "We believe you," one of them said. "You were incredibly brave to speak out. Thank you." Hearing those words, I broke down. I covered my face and just let the tears of relief fall. Finally, someone believed me. Finally, the truth had a voice. Later that day, they summoned Raina to the office. They showed her the printed messages, the photos, everything. At first, she said nothing. She just stared at the papers in her hands. Then her hands started to tremble. Her face went white. "He told me she was lying," she whispered. "He said she was obsessed with him." Her voice broke. "Oh, God," she choked out. "I was so wrong. I hurt my sister. I pushed her away. I didn't believe her. I slapped her." Her tears fell onto the evidence in her hands. Her voice was barely audible. "I didn't see the truth. I am so ashamed." That night I was sitting on my bed reading when I heard a soft knock on the door. I opened it to find Raina standing there. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked broken. In her hands she clutched my old teddy bear, the one she would give me whenever I was sad as a little girl. She stepped inside and said, "Dana, I found Mark's old phone. I saw the messages. I saw it all." She sat down heavily. She looked at me, her face contorted with regret, and began to sob. "Please forgive me," she said. "I didn't trust you. I believed him. I feel like a monster." I went over and sat beside her. She took my hand. "You aren't just my sister," she said. "You're like my own daughter. I raised you, I love you, and I hurt you in the worst way possible." My own tears started again. "I love you too," I said. "You gave me everything. Even when he made me feel worthless, I never felt that way about you. I could never, ever hurt you." We held each other and cried for a long time. I felt her arms around me, a familiar warmth I had missed so desperately. I knew the road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time in weeks, I wasn't alone. The next morning, the atmosphere in the apartment felt lighter. Raina didn't go to work. She stayed home with me. We made breakfast together, the first time in what felt like a lifetime. The kitchen was warm and filled with the scent of coffee again. She kept looking at me, her eyes a mixture of pain and profound love. "I still can't believe I was so blind," she said quietly. "I trusted him so completely. I didn't listen to you. I will never forgive myself for that." I reached across the table and touched her hand. "You believed in someone you loved," I said. "That isn't a crime, but now you know the truth. That's what matters." She squeezed my hand tightly. "You saved me, Dana," she whispered. "I thought I had a perfect marriage, a perfect life. It was all a lie." That same day, Raina went back to the university and gave her official statement, telling them she fully supported my complaint against Mark. She showed them the additional evidence she had found on his old phone. The university officials assured her they were taking swift and decisive action. Mark was immediately suspended from all teaching duties pending the final review. When Raina came home, she told me everything. He didn't say a word, she said, her voice devoid of emotion. He just stood there, staring at the floor. He looked pathetic and scared. I felt nothing for him. Not love, not hatred, just an empty coldness. A week later, Raina made another powerful decision. She filed for divorce. She told her lawyer, "I cannot be married to a man who would hurt my sister. He shattered my trust. He broke my heart. I want to be free." When Mark was served with the divorce papers, he tried to call her repeatedly. She didn't answer. He sent a text, "Let's talk, we can fix this." She blocked his number. "There is nothing left to fix," she told me. "Some people don't deserve a second chance." I watched as Raina grew stronger with each passing day. Her smile returned. She started cooking elaborate meals again. She helped me with my university assignments. She reconnected with her old friends. We spent many nights on the couch, watching silly movies. Sometimes we would laugh, and sometimes we would cry, but we always did it together. I started attending my classes again. My professors were kind and supportive. A few students gave me curious looks, but I held my head high. I had done nothing wrong. I knew that now, and I would never let anyone make me feel ashamed again. One evening, as we sat on the balcony watching the sunset, Raina turned to me. "Do you know what hurts the most?" she asked. "It's not that he wanted someone else. It's not even that he lied. It's that he looked at you, my sister, like that. That he tried to take something so innocent and twist it into something ugly. I can never forgive him for that." I looked at her and said, "But he didn't win. You saw the truth. You believed me. That means more to me than anything." She managed a small smile. "You always did have the strongest heart," she said, "even when I didn't." The following weeks were peaceful. Slowly but surely, the pain began to recede. Raina and I grew even closer. We talked about everything. We tried new recipes. We went for long walks in the park. The nightmares stopped. My mind felt clear again. I could study without the constant knot of fear in my stomach. I could walk across campus without constantly looking over my shoulder. One day, my friend Nina approached me. "I heard what happened," she said, looking ashamed. "I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. I was wrong." I simply nodded and said, "Thank you, that means a lot." I knew that trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild, and that was okay. I didn't want revenge, I just wanted peace. I wanted to feel safe. And now I did. Raina was free. I was safe. Mark was no longer in our lives. And that was more than enough for me. One morning, a letter arrived from the university. It officially stated that Mark had been terminated from his position. The investigation was complete. They had all the proof they needed. Raina read the letter aloud. When she finished, she closed her eyes and whispered, "It's over." I saw a single tear trace a path down her cheek, but her expression was one of calm relief. That night, we celebrated with a special dinner. Raina cooked my favorite meal. We ate slowly, talking about happy memories and future plans. After dinner, we sat on the floor, flipping through old photo albums. We saw pictures of our parents, pictures of me as a little girl. Raina laughed at a photo where I was wearing an oversized hat, my face smeared with chocolate. "You were always a little messy," she teased, "but you always had the kindest heart." I smiled. "And you were the best sister," I said. "You still are." She pulled me into a hug. "No matter what happens," she said, "we will always have each other." And that was the truth. Life will always have its share of pain. Sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who break that trust. but the heart is resilient. Truth has a way of coming to light. And real love can heal and grow stronger from the cracks. I learned that silence isn't safety, it's a cage. Speaking up is terrifying, but it is the first step toward freedom. I was scared, but I told my story and now I am free. Today, Raina and I live in peace. We study, we work, we laugh. We remember the difficult days, but we don't dwell in them. We keep moving forward together. We help each other. And we are stronger than we have ever been. Sometimes, the people we love the most can hurt us the most. The pain is deep. It feels like the heart is broken. But you must remember truth always comes out. You are not weak. You are not alone. Don't stay silent. Speak up. Even if no one believes you at first, keep telling your story. One day the truth will be clear, and when that day comes, you will feel free.